All right, what is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here back with another video. Finally coming on with another cam video here at about 2 in the morning. We are also using some new software. We're trying out a new microphone. We have a lot going on in today's video. But without further ado, I'm here to discuss with you guys the New England Patriots 2022 schedule. Now, guys, this schedule is official, okay? Yes, we might not have the Patriots' current, specific dates for when these games are. That schedule will drop usually about May to March, or not May to March, but April to March is usually when that schedule drops, basically on who we're going to play week 1, who we're going to play week 2, who we're going to go play week 3, the times, the prime time games, everything will drop within a couple of months. But this is the list of teams, home and away, that the Patriots will officially be playing. This cannot change. This is official. This is who we are playing. The only other thing we do not know is our bye week. That will only drop when the official scheduling drops, also again in about April to March. But if I had to guess, based off of history, I would say that our bye week is probably going to be somewhere mid to closer to the end of the season, like it usually is. The Patriots usually do not have a bye week that is right in the beginning of the season. So without further ado, let's just hop right into today's video. So I actually have a little something that I made for you guys, a little bit of a diagram so you guys can follow along with me on basically this schedule breakdown. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to list off obviously our home and our away teams. Then I'm going to go game by game, kind of share my thoughts on this matchup. Now, I do want to kind of say before I get into those matchups and kind of breaking them down, basically say that a lot of stuff still has to happen. I'm not going to give my record prediction because it's not going to be an accurate record prediction. We're still in playoffs. We're still, Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet. We still have free agency, the draft, all of that great stuff where teams are rebuilding to really put into account before we can truly break down an actual record prediction. But at this current time, based off of what we know about these teams right now, is what I will be going off of. So, our home opponents, like always, of course, are going to be the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and then the new teams we're going to be playing here. We're going to be playing the Bengals, we're going to be playing the Lions, going to be playing the Bears, the Colts, and the Ravens. Now, away game here, of course, also going to be playing yet again the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins. But away we also have the Steelers, the Browns, the Packers, the Raiders, which, if you guys actually remember, this was the one game we didn't know at the time. The Raiders game was either going to be the Raiders or it was going to be the Chargers. And that game was based off of the week 18 matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers, which ultimately put one of those teams in the playoffs. Raiders win. So New England is now playing the Raiders next season. That's going to be an away game. The Patriots will also play the Cardinals. And then right down there, you can kind of see squeezed in there at the bottom, we are also going to be playing the Vikings. Now, to start off with the home teams, we're kind of going to kill two birds with one stone here. We're going to kill the uh, AFC East teams because obviously we play both of those teams or all three of these teams twice a year. So we're going to put those home and away teams right away here. So as for the Jets slowly got better throughout the second half of the season. Now, luckily enough for the Patriots, they played them early on into the 2021 season, so they didn't really face them before they got good. I do expect the Jets to go into the offseason, make some better adjustments, bring in some better free agents, really help hone in the ability of Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was really just flinging the ball, didn't have great protection. Elijah Vera Tucker on that offensive line, rookie for them, was really good. That's a good building piece for them, but I think there's a lot of personnel pieces that need to be made here for the New York Jets, and I think that they will be better off starting for the 2022 season because, like I said, they started to pick it up towards the end of the season, made things really interesting in that Bills game, made it really interesting in that Buccaneers game. So I think this is going to be a better Jets team than we've seen the last several years. Now, the Buffalo Bills here, the Buffalo Bills are always an interesting team. Obviously, New England beat them once this year in 2020. They took the AFC East. In 2021, it was a close between the Patriots and the Bills, but the Bills, of course, still take the AFC East. This is a true rivalry between the Patriots and the Bills. I it's going to be either the Patriots or the Bills on top yet again. These are the number one team and the number two team in the AFC East. I don't see the Jets or the Dolphins taking over that number one or number two spot in the AFC East in 2022. This is going to be one of the hardest matchups for the Patriots twice a year to essentially come out with a win. You know, you look at these other games, you look at the Ravens, you look at the Cardinals, you look at the Bengals. These are tough opponents, but the Bills are going to be some of those highest opponents that the Patriots will have to play and take ultra seriously because you also add that extra factor of it being an in division game. So, I'm actually really excited to play the Bills this next time around because it's going to hold a lot of weight based off of what happened here towards the end of the season and, of course, in the playoffs where they just utterly beat down the Patriots. Now, the Miami Dolphins, I expect the Dolphins to take a pretty big step back here. Obviously and surprisingly, firing Brian Flores. I don't know why Miami ever thought that that was a good idea. Brian Flores is a really good coach for them. He's going to find a head coaching job elsewhere. I know all Pat fans want him back, but he has the pick of where he wants to go as a head coach. He's not coming back to New England. I don't know who the head coach is going to be in Miami. I just don't expect them to be better than Brian Flores. Obviously, Tua is going to be staying the quarterback because Deshaun Watson, now that Brian Flores was fired, does not want to play there anymore. So I do expect the Dolphins, with everything that's already happened for them this offseason, to them take a step back. Now we look at the Bengals here, our first real home game that isn't an in division game. The Bengals used to be that team where you go, oh, that's an immediate plug in win, but they have gotten really, really good over the last two seasons, essentially ever since Joe Burrow took over. And obviously, they are heading into their second playoff game this offseason. They obviously beat the Raiders just yesterday, and that was their first playoff win in over 30 years. Now, the Patriots are going to have to build a really good defense and really get through these issues that they had with this defense that they've somehow had after the bye week, where they just were not able to stop anything defensively. Their defense does not scare me. They have pretty good coaching, but I obviously would give the Patriots, Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, the nod over the Bengals coaching staff. If the Patriots are able to shut down Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, that lethal offense, one of the best offenses in the NFL. I put it as a top three offense in the NFL personally. As long as the Patriots defense can control that, can shut them down at least marginally, I do believe New England should be able to come out with the win in that game. Now, the Detroit Lions is an interesting game. Detroit, over the last couple weeks of the 2021 season, were starting to get good, starting to make things really interesting for themselves. Obviously, not from a standpoint of making the postseason because they played 3 out of 4 quarters of the season absolutely terribly. I still think this is a game New England should win, but I do think that the Lions will get a little bit more competitive this offseason compared to what we saw in this 2021 season. I think that the mindset, the coaching staff that they really brought together has been something really magical throughout this season. You've kind of seen that progression, and I do expect them to add, of course, some, well, not even some, but really just kind of U-Haul that personnel that they have, whether that's offense and defense. But I don't expect them to take that next big jump. I still expect them to be a bottom five team in the league. Now, the Chicago Bears is a really interesting one. If Brian Flores is the head coach of the Chicago Bears, which is a very good chance, then I do think Chicago does come out with a win here. But that's not official. They have a lot of question marks within that organization right now of who's that next head coach. What are they going to do with their GM? What are they going to do at the quarterback position? Are they finally going to build around their rookie quarterback? Or are they still going to kind of head in that other direction? Are they ready to take over with their rookie quarterback? That's going to be the ultimate decision here. Obviously, they have some question marks with Allen Robinson. What are they going to choose to do with him? That defense is still good. I think that there are some building pieces defensively that they do still need to figure out and this could really be a total U-Haul this offseason for the Chicago Bears. But again, if Brian Flores is the guy taking over, New England never does well against Belichick's old disciples. So we'll just have to see. Now, the Indianapolis Colts, this is going to be a real tough one here for New England. Again, I think this one's really going to come down to defense yet again. If New England's defense cannot hold themselves up, then the Colts are going to come out with the win. The Colts' defense is not what lost the Patriots the game against the Colts in 2021. Okay? It was not Carson Wentz that won them this game. It was their running attack. It was Jonathan Taylor. It was New England's inability to stop the run and play complementary football to each other. I do expect them to be better, the Patriots, when it comes to complementary football and hopefully defensively this upcoming season. And as long as they can do so, I'm confident about the win. Um, but that's just something, again, we'll just have to see what they do going forward. We also know officially if Carson Wentz is going to be the quarterback of this team, if they're going to take a rookie. But my guess is that Carson Wentz is still going to be the quarterback of that team. And the Patriots fared pretty well against Carson Wentz when they played the Colts this past season. Now, the Baltimore Ravens are another good team. They are, I would say, an above average team. I think they took a step back in 2021 for sure. There was a lot of question marks surrounding this team, but I do still think that this is the type of team New England has issues with. A really good coached team and a team with a mobile quarterback. New England did pretty good for the first half of the season when containing mobile quarterbacks, but the second half, that defense was just not able to do so. I think, again, if this defense plays how it did the second half of the season for New England, then this is going to be a pretty easy loss on the Patriots side of things. Very well coached. Defense is always good, but they are a pretty predictable team. But being predictable does not matter if you're going to let Lamar Jackson run all over you. Now, as we head into the away games, we already talked about the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins. The Steelers here, the Steelers are always a tough team to go up against. Now, New England definitely does have their number, and as long as rumors are true, Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be the starting quarterback for them next year, which I think is going to bring along a lot of questions. Who's going to be their quarterback? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? Is it going to be Dwayne Haskins? I know that Mike Tomlin really does like Dwayne Haskins and thinks that Dwayne Haskins has the ability to be a starting quarterback. So I think there's going to be a lot of question marks about that. But we've even seen with bad personnel within the Steelers organization, they still squeezed into the playoffs. Even, for example, this year, there's multiple times where you say the Steelers aren't going to go anywhere this year because they don't have the personnel to match up. But because of how good this coaching staff is, how good Mike Tomlin is at game planning, even with the pieces he has, they're able to continue to be competitive. Now, there's question marks again on who's going to be their quarterback, what's going to happen with someone like Juju Smith-Schuster, but still, nonetheless, not going to be an easy game. Now, the Patriots have played the Browns a fair amount of times the last couple of seasons, and the Patriots have always had their number. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did supposedly one out of Cleveland. Now, I'm not sure where that currently stands right now. I know that Cleveland said that Baker Mayfield's going to continue to be their quarterback, and we'll just have to see. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. is not there. The Browns started off the season hot, even had a pretty good season last year, and they just totally let it go. Very predictable team. I think they have a lot of really, really good pieces, both on offense and on defense. I just think it really comes down to playing complementary football together and being all on the same page. And I just don't know if that coaching staff is really able to bring everybody back together, but I'm still confident in the Patriots winning this game. Now, the Green Bay Packers, if the Green Bay Packers was the team that is in the playoffs right now, I'd be extremely worried. But if Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams are both out of Green Bay, then I could see this being another team who has a big U-Haul this offseason, kind of hits that restart button. Now, who knows what happens? Who knows what happens if this team goes to the Super Bowl, if this team wins the Super Bowl? Does Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams kind of switch their mind about wanting to leave? These are some storylines we still have to watch. If Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are still in Green Bay at this time, this is a big, big, big matchup for the Patriots. But again, if both of those guys or even just Aaron Rodgers is out of the question, you got to imagine that this is still going to be a pretty favorable matchup, um, potentially for the New England Patriots. Obviously, they'll still have guys like Aaron Jones, potentially guys still like Devontae Adams. We'll still have to see what they do with him. I know Devontae Adams said if Rodgers leaves, he's out, but The whole franchise tag might still be in play there, supposedly. So we'll just have to see about that. This is the team where it's either New England's going to absolutely be demolished or New England is going to absolutely wipe them. There's just no in between. Now, the Raiders are another team that has hot moments and has slow moments. You look at the end of the season, they had to beat the Chargers in order to squeeze into the playoffs, then lost the first round of the playoffs. Derek Carr always performs pretty well against the Patriots, but the Patriots do have Derek Carr's number. They know how to game plan against him. They know how to game plan against the Raiders in general. And the Raiders are another one of those teams that have a lot of question marks as they enter the offseason, such as who is going to be your head coach? What are you going to do with some of your personnel? And when there's teams with a lot of drama, a lot of questions, which is exactly what is happening within inside the Raiders organization after the whole John Gruden and Henry Ruggs situation, it can really deplete an entire team. So I think they're going to have a lot of questions. And then you move on to the Arizona Cardinals. It's just going to be a really tough game for the Patriots. This was a tough game for the Patriots when they played them in 2020, and I think they've only gotten better. I think they're going to be a lot healthier when the Patriots play them. It obviously just depends on what week they play them in the NFL. But, you kind of look at how the Cardinals slowed down throughout the progression of the 2021 season. DeAndre Hopkins not being there for the majority of the time. You had Kyler Murray being in and out, James Conner being in and out. Injuries really, really messed with them. So we're just going to kind of have to see where the Patriots play them and how healthy they are. But if this is a healthy Arizona team, good coaching staff with Cliff Kingsbury, this is definitely one of those tough matchups. And then another final really interesting matchup here is the Vikings, because the Vikings over the last couple seasons, despite this year, have been a team who's been on the lower end of things. Kirk Cousins hasn't been a great quarterback. He's been a pretty decent quarterback, but not a great quarterback, especially when it comes to turnovers. But this year, they were really making a run at times, but they were very, very inconsistent. There'd be games where they're blowing the doors off of opponents, beating teams you wouldn't expect them to, and then just getting the doors blown off of them and losing to teams you'd expect them to beat. Obviously, also firing their head coach or having a new head coach coming into things that is going to turn the entirety of this scheme for this team and this organization completely around. So we're kind of going to have to see the journey that they take throughout this offseason, and that's going to be very dependent on the type of team that the Patriots are going to get within the Vikings. But these are some of my thoughts here for the Patriots' official 2022 schedule. Again, the dates, the times, the weeks, who we play week 1, who we play week 18, when the bye week is, these are all still question marks. We still have that will happen after free agency. But for now, we know the teams we're going to play. This is by far a harder schedule than the Patriots had this year. I want to know if you guys think this is a harder schedule than 2020 or not. The Patriots had one of the hardest schedules in 2020, and this could be even harder than that. The Patriots had one of the hardest ranked schedules in 2020. They had an easier ranked schedule this past year in 2021. I'll be really interested to see where it ranks amongst other NFL teams for the 2022 schedule. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and like always,